Peace, everyone. Okay, in 2013, I went to Hajj. There was quite a bit that happened to me, all good. And so I wanted to share it with you, and my hope is that everyone here who has not gone to Hajj will before they die. All right, the Quran 2:158. The knolls of Safa and Marwa are among the rites decreed by God. Anyone who observes Hajj or Umrah commits no error by traversing the distance between them. If one volunteers more righteous works, then God is appreciative, omniscient. 2:189. They ask you about the phases of the moon. Say, they provide a timing device for the people and determine the time of Hajj. It is not righteous to beat around the bush. Righteousness is attained by upholding the commandments and by being straightforward. You shall observe God that you may succeed. 2:196. You shall observe the complete rites of Hajj and Umrah for God. If you are prevented, you shall send an offering and do not resume cutting your hair until your offering has reached its destination. If you are ill or suffering a head injury, and you must cut your hair, you shall expiate by fasting and giving to charity or some other form of worship. During the normal Hajj, if you break the state of Ihram, which is sanctity, between Umrah and Hajj, you shall expiate by offering an animal sacrifice. If you cannot afford it, you shall fast 3 days during Hajj and 7 when you return home. This completes 10. Provided you do not live at the sacred masjid or sacred mosque, you shall observe God. 2:197. Hajj shall be observed in the specific months. And of course, that's from the Quran, not from the Saudis. Whoever sets out to observe Hajj shall refrain from sexual intercourse, misconduct, and arguments throughout Hajj. Whatever good you do, God is fully aware thereof. As you prepare your provisions for the journey, the best provision is righteousness. You shall observe me, O you who possess intelligence. 397. In it are clear signs, the station of Abraham. Anyone who enters, it shall be granted safe passage. The people owe it to God that they shall observe Hajj to this shrine when they can afford it. As for those who disbelieve, God does not need anyone. 5:1. You who believe, you shall fulfill your covenants. Permitted for you to eat are the livestock, except those specifically prohibited therein. You shall not permit hunting throughout Hajj pilgrimage. God decrees whatever he wills. 22:27. And proclaim that the people shall observe Hajj pilgrimage. They will come to you walking or riding on various exhausted means of transportation. They will come from the farthest locations. Okay. Can you play the... Okay. The way that they did it was they clicked on it, then when the video comes up, you hit that, and then pause it after, or when I tell you, ask you. Not going to play it? All right. Well, what it was, I'll describe it. Robin Hood was telling his merry men, lend me your ears, and they threw his ears at him. So I'm asking you to lend me your ears. Pretty simple. Sorry you didn't get to see it. All right. I wish, actually, that, and thank you, Hussein, for giving up his spiel for me. The cost. The cost is about, from Los Angeles, was somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000. When you go to the travel agency, They say it's 5-star hotel. It's not. Um, I would give it a 4 rating, but the fee includes meals, bus rides, snacks, water, and fruit. All right, so you fly. This was me. I flew from San Francisco to Los Angeles to Frankfurt to Jeddah. Jeddah being the main airport in Saudi Arabia. In Jeddah, I purchased the Ihram, which is the seamless cloths, sandals, and I exchanged US for Royales. About 2.5 hours later, we finally got a bus, and we rode to Mecca, which is, you can keep going. Keep one more. All right. See where it says 1? Up on the upper left-hand side. All right, that's a mosque where they have showers and that sort of thing. So you take a shower, you put on this clothing kind of thing, you have a belt, and then, of course, it's time for dawn prayer, in my particular case. So after you do the prayer, these guys that I was with realize I have no idea whether it's right, wrong, and different. But they said, hey, we have to have an open roof bus. And I said, what? And they go, yeah, we have to have an open roof bus because once you start the Hajj pilgrimage, you can't have anything over your head. So I said, okay, that's great. So anyhow, we got perhaps an hour towards Mecca, and I heard this bam. And of course, being in Saudi Arabia, I just figured, okay, maybe Al Qaeda is practicing. And anyhow, what it was is the bus broke down. So about a half an hour later, another bus comes up, which is from the Emirates. And so they said, hey, you guys want to come with us? You can come with us, which is great, very hospitable, nice guys. But their bus had a roof on it. And I go, oh boy, what's this going to cost me? So that's part of being a Jew. You always think, hey, what's this going to cost me? Then they said, okay, well, you're going to have to sacrifice another goat. And I go, okay, well, who cares? And so anyway, we got to Mecca. What I found, though, was that I'm not sure what classification of Muslim these guys from the Emirates were, but I can tell you they were extremely friendly, very kind, just really, from my standpoint, very good people. Okay, when I got to Mecca, we checked into the hotel, and I was asked, okay, Ron, let's go to it was about 11:30 at night. Let's go to the harem. I said, oh man, I read this 1001 Arabian Nights, and I've always wanted to see a harem, you know? And I said, but I can't go with you guys because I'm supposed to maintain righteousness, for crying out loud. And they go, no, we're going to the harem. Well, as it turns out, the harem is a sacred masjid. Okay, so we go to the sacred masjid, and they said, okay, what's your intention? And I said, well, my intention is to go in and go around the Kaaba. They go, no, what's your intention? And I said, well, I just got through telling you what my intention was. They go, no, you have to say your intention in Arabic. And I said, okay, well, whatever. And because I don't understand Arabic, how am I supposed to know what my intention is in Arabic? All right, so anyway, went into the Kaaba, walked around. Okay, this is the sacred masjid and the Kaaba. Do you recognize me in the crowd? Anybody? All right, so anyway, what you do is you always, when you walk around the Kaaba, you circle it 7 times. It's always to your left. Can I have the next picture? All right. this is the front of the Kaaba. I'm sorry, in front of the sacred masjid. You can see the spirals, and it's a beautiful, beautiful building. Next. Once again, the front, it's tiled, it's clean, constantly being cleaned, and that's it. All right. Now, later on, I'm going to talk about Zemzem, but just so that you know, see the two towers? There is in the Kaaba a break. If you went from that break and looked in between these two spires, it leads to the well where the Zemzem comes out of the ground. Okay, so anyway, walk around it 7 times. The good news is you see in the center the kind of a semicircular type thing. All right, when you're walking, it's hot. I mean, it's really hot. And you got all these Muslims coming around you, hitting you, pushing you out of the way, that sort of thing. That's why when they say be patient, you know, you're supposed to be patient. Except one guy kept hitting me and hitting me and hitting me as I'm going around. So I looked at him and I said, you know what? I'm going to be a righteous person, but if you hit me one more time, I'm going to smack you right back. And the guy never hit me again. So anyway. All right, so you walk around this 7 times. You pray, and then you go to, where they call it, where Abraham's wife was left out in between Mirwa and, between the 2 mountains. What's that? Thank you. As you can tell, I knew nothing about it. I just knew that we got a command to go there, and so I went. They said, hey, you got to walk between these 2 hills. I go, well, there's no hills. We're inside of a building, for crying out loud. And they go, no. What you have to do is you have to walk. And then when the green lights are, you have to jog or pretend you're running or whatever it is. And so I said, okay, no problem. And so that's what I did, except for the Africans. There was this African nation, and these guys were tall and thin, and they ran the whole time. Here I am, trying to desperately make the 7, you know, and these guys are running around me, and I'm going, oh man, there's something wrong with me. Anyway, when that was finished, the Muslims that were there cut each other's hair. They had these little scissors, and they'd invite the person next to them to cut their hair, and they'd snip it. And when it came to me, I'd go, okay, now look, I don't want to be bald when this thing finishes, so just snip a little bit off, which they did. That's when I ran into this water, Zemzem. They said, hey, this is the best water in the world. And I've got to tell you, it really is. What happened is, the story is that Abraham's wife left Isaac, and he was thirsty, you know, crying and all that kind of stuff that a baby does. So she was going back and forth to find a spring, find water for her kid. Then after the 7th trip, or circular between the mountains, now she climbed the mountain to look at the valley to see where there was water. This is the story. Then when she got back the 7th time, there was the well. And she was able to feed Isaac and replenish herself, and everything was fine. So that's what we did. And that is actually part of the masjid. Okay, Mina. All right, I'm going to tell you a little bit. Okay, so anyway, finished that jogging thing. And by now it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, I guess. Now remember, I checked into a hotel, didn't have a phone, didn't have the name of the hotel, didn't know. And Mecca's a fairly sprawling city. As far as people, there were, I don't know how many pilgrims, probably 500,000. And from all over the world. So I went out like an idiot. I figured I'll take a taxi back to the hotel, which is fine, except I don't know where the name of the hotel, where it's located, nothing like that. So anyhow, what the Saudi police all of a sudden have a deaf ear if you speak English. They don't know English. Their buddies don't know what, nothing, which is a farce. They know English. But anyway, so it gave me an opportunity to go back into the sacred masjid and do some more prayers. After the dawn prayer, I went out and there was my group. Now, all I can tell you is that was a miracle to me, because here I was in the middle. Not that it bothered me; it didn't. I've been in countries where they speak different languages and never felt afraid or worried about anything. That's part of being stupid, I guess. But anyway, the miracle was that, to me, was they were there. There was plenty of water. I can tell you I knew the names of the gates. Gate 5 is Isaac. Gate 19 is LE. And I mean, I knew that building like you wouldn't believe. And then, of course, as an appraiser, I'm looking at the construction and what's going on and that sort of thing. But now they do have elevators, escalators, stairs. I mean, you name it, they've remodeled it. Okay, when you get to Mecca, you're required to wear a seamless cloth, 2 cloths, and you have a belt. The belt generally holds money. I'll try to make this really fast. Anyhow, the group I was with, they said, okay, Ron, buy these sandals. So I bought the sandals, and they go, okay, it's open-toed, but you can't have seams. And I go, what? They go, yeah, it's got to be seamless, same as your cloth outfit. So I said, okay, well, so I purchased them. And then he cuts them, so the no seams are showing. And I go, oh, brother, I'll go along with it. So anyway, very, very comfortable. Total cost, maybe $30 US. So if you're going to go to Hajj, I would recommend really that don't worry about money, because it's not that expensive. It really isn't once you get there. All right. Also, you're stark naked except for this cloth kind of thing. And the reason I bring that up is because of Mina. What we did, the tents are built by the U.S., by the way, and the air conditioning systems, I believe, were built by Carrier when they were still in the United States. But anyway, so we go to sleep, right? And they woke me up, the guys in the tent, and they go, Ron, don't you have any modesty at all? And I said, what are you talking about? And they go, look, we all have seen your package. Will you please close your cloth? And I go, yeah, okay. So anyway, word of warning, make sure that if you're going to go to sleep, you don't expose yourself. All right, so anyway, after that, you go to Arafat, the desert. Now, my problem is they said, hey, we're going to go to Arafat, and all I could think of was this pot-marked Palestinian. But anyway, so we went to the desert. And they said, okay, now the purpose here is that you think of all the sins that you've committed and you ask God for forgiveness. After the forgiveness, then you ask God for anything you want. Well, let me tell you, I would have been there for over a year if I was to think of all the sins that I've committed. So anyway, that was fine. Then these other guys, so, I asked God for a death where I would go to heaven. All right, well, that was a big mistake because some of these people wanted Lamborghinis. What can I say? The car didn't mean that much to me. Going to heaven does. All right, there in Arafat, and I realized I was with an Iranian travel agency, and everyone was really good to me, everyone. There was a group of 8 or 10 Africans that had nothing to eat, so we fed them. I mean, they followed us around. We fed them. Very generous people, the Iranians are, in spite of what people say. Like me, for example. No. All right. What happened there, though, was pretty funny. I was in line. I had to go to the bathroom. And this guy comes behind me, taps me on the shoulder, and he goes, "Ron, British bathrooms." And I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, British bathrooms. They have toilets." So I said, "Okay," because realized you're squatting. And so I walked about a mile to the British toilets. Well, there's no such thing as a British toilet. It's the same as what I had when he told me to get out of line. So anyhow, when I finally got back, all these guys were laughing because they'd pulled something on me. And I laughed too. I mean, it was really good. Whoops. Sorry. There in Arafat, though, the mullah was giving a speech, and I listened. I have no clue what he was talking about. But all of a sudden, these 2 Japanese pilgrims started to cry. And I thought, man, this guy's pretty emotional. I wonder what he's saying. And then anyhow, the cries got louder and louder and louder. And I kept thinking, shoot, I'm missing something here. And as it turns out, it's what they call lamentations. That there's a group of Muslims that believe that if you cry and you cry harder, that somehow you're going to be rewarded for it. Hey, what can I tell you? All right. Then there was Muzdalifa. I was trying to sleep, okay? And this guy kept yelling, "Hi, Ron, hi, Ron." So I'd wake up and I'd look around. I didn't see anyone. Go back to sleep. "Hi, Ron, hi, Ron." Went back to sleep the 3rd time. "Hi, Ron, hi, Ron." And I go, man, this guy, I don't care. I'm going to sleep. And so anyhow, he walks by and he goes, "Iran, Iran." He was looking for the Iranian group. He wasn't saying "Hi, Iran" at all. So things like that, it seems like they always happen to me. So by now they knew that I had a pretty good sense of humor. So after the stoning of yeah, okay. This represents the devil, or Satan, Beelzebub, whatever you want to call it. Huh? 3 of them, yeah. For the little devil, that's Nikki. No, I'm kidding. You start with the little one, you throw 7 stones, then the middle one, 7 stones, and big one, 7 stones. Well, it's like a mad race. There's been people that have had their clothes ripped off. I mean, you wouldn't believe what goes on there. And anyhow, there was this old lady in a wheelchair. I mean, she looked like she was on death's bed for sure. And she's sitting there in her wheelchair, and her person was pushing her. She pushes through the crowd, goes up to the first column, throws her stones, and then when she finishes the 7 stones, she jumps out of her wheelchair. Yeah! And what could we do? We just laughed, you know. I mean, what a faker. She would have won an Oscar for sure. Okay, am I about ready to? Yeah, okay, I'll wrap it up. All right, like I said, it's really it's good that God has commanded us to go to Hajj. It's really a tremendous experience. It's nothing that a person will ever forget. And at the same time, sorry, I'm going to recommend that people should consider going before they get really old. You know, I was going to start this speech. Hi, I'm Ron, and I lost 14 pounds going to Mecca. But really, there's so much walking that if you wait until you get too old to really walk it, it's kind of too late, I believe, because you don't get the full benefit. So anyhow, that was my experience. All good. I got to see, you know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Malcolm X, but Malcolm X was this black religious leader who encouraged people not to associate with whites. After he went to the Hajj, totally different attitude, totally different story. He realized that people throughout the world, while they're different, are still the same. Thank you. Questions? Different what? Tense? No. Yeah, they do. Abraham's wife was with ISIS? Is that what you said? Huh? Oh, with Isaac? Yes. Oh, not Ishmael, Isaac. Okay. It's hard for me to recognize babies. You know. Okay. Yes, Firuza. Okay, the contact prayer, you know, I don't know what these guys do. They go on and on and on. And I said, man, don't you guys ever stop? And they go, hey, we're only doing 2 raquettes. And I thought, holy cow. And I don't want to, but anyway, to answer your question, the men and the women are integrated, face the Kaaba, and do their prayer. Now, we know, yes, no one is like the leader. It's almost like the Kaaba would be the symbolic leader. No, no. It's a potpourri of Muslims. Yeah, I did, but I still knew nothing. I mean, I learned as I go. All this stuff from books is great, But once you experience, well, I'll give you an example. I enjoy looking at myself in the mirror in the morning. When I started, they put towels on all the mirrors. I thought that was a good idea. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's necessary or not, but it really it allows more humility. I would also recommend that you buy the belt, though, here in the U.S., because the belt that you pay for in Saudi Arabia is just, especially if you got a gut like me, it just keeps curling up. It's a pain in the neck. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, thank you.